Hey folks, it's Colin here from Sparing Outdoors, and this little upload is on how to make char cloth. Now, char cloth is a really handy addition to have as part of your fire lighting kit. And it's really simple to make, and I'm going to do a step-by-step process on how to make it. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you my fire kit, what I have in my fire kit, and why I carry the stuff in my fire kit. That's pretty much this video. Like, char cloth, as I said, is really easy to make. I was going to do it outside, but as you've seen, it's absolutely hammering down outside. The chickens won't even come out, it's that wet. So I'm not going to do it on a fire outside, so I'm going to do it on a little gas portable stove that I have in the shade. But you can do it on your fire at home, you can do it on your stove at home, you can do it on your ring cooker at home. It's very easy, and many ways you can do it. So what we're going to do is do it on the wee portable stove. And at the end of this video, I'll take you through my fire lighting kit and why I have these things in my fire lighting kit, and why I don't have other things in my fire lighting kit. But again, fire lighting kits are everybody's own personal preference. So what we need now for the first stage is a little tin. This is just an old shoe polish tin. I cleaned it out there a few minutes ago and I'm covered in shoe polish, so beware of that. So all you need is a wee tin that can be well sealed. You get wee mint tins in there just as good. So you need a wee tin. You'll need some sort of material to go in to make your char cloth. I'm just using a few cotton pads. Because we have a young child, we have lots of cotton pads and they're very good to use. Again, you can use an old cotton t-shirt, some denim clothing. You can even use natural plant fibres such as bark, even rotten wood. You can use fungi, just something that's going to make a char cloth. But cotton's quite good and cotton pads is really good. And what you need to do to your wee tin is you need to put a wee hole in it. Now I'm just going to use a drill to drill a wee hole in it, or you can use a hammer and a nail. Just somewhere in the middle of the tin. That will release the pressure on the fire to so it doesn't pop and lets the gases out while you're making your char cloth. Then all you have to do is obviously put your material into your wee tin, seal it over nice and tight, and that's you ready for your next stage. So that's the wee stove lit. So now I'll just set on with my wee container. And that's it. Now we're just going to have to wait until it starts to smoke. So now, as you can see, it's starting to smoke. Now once it stops smoking, that should be us finished and ready to go. If you want rid of the smoke, what you can do is you can actually light where the smoke's coming out, and it gets a wee fire, and that'll get rid of the smoke for you if you're doing it indoors. So once that wee flame goes out, or else the smoke's gone, that's your char cloth ready to do. Again, if you're doing it on the fire outside, you can let it smoke. But if you're doing it indoors, I would suggest that you just light the smoke, so it gets rid of the smoke for you. It burns off the gases instead. So that's it just out. That's it just out there now. So we'll just take it off. That's the char cloth ready to go. All the gases have been burnt and it stopped smoking. There, I've just lifted it off and just taken it outside to cool. Here now. So that's our char cloth there, folks. That is perfect. Nice and light, very fluffy, and it's all burnt, and that'll take a spark well. I'll show you now using the wee fire lighter, it taking a spark. As you see, that's taking the spark really well. First strike, and it's hitting a few different places and it burns. So all you need to know is all you need there now is take it over to your tinder bundle, your bird's nest or whatever, put that in the middle of it and you've got a fire. So that was how to make char cloth, and it just gives me another option to add to my, I suppose, my fire lighting kit. But I'll just show you my fire lighting kit here, and it's really simple. I keep mine really simple. That's my fire lighting kit. It's very tiny, it's not too big, and it's all in a watertight bag. Keep everything nice and dry. Now it's very small for a reason. I keep it very minimal for a few reasons. One is I like it really compact, so if you're out in expeditions it doesn't take up a lot of room. And two is a few fire lighting methods that I really don't need to carry with me, especially where I live. There's no point taking them because you have to get certain conditions for it, and where I live it's very wet. It's very few and far between when you get them conditions. But I'll show you what's in my little fire lighting case. So this here is actually waterproof and windproof matches, and they're a great job, and they are a complete I suppose, last resort backup if I can't get a flame. They're good to have. And they're only a couple of quid for a fire kit. Nice to have. And it, again, in my wee metal tub that was in the watertight bag, is obviously my striker, my fire starter. You've seen that one, I've reviewed that one, quite a good one. I have a bit of rubber. Now the rubber, again, once I have a wee flame going, if it's really wet conditions, I can throw on a bit of the rubber and the rubber burns like nothing normal. And it's really good for wet conditions. It's nearly bomb proof once you get it lit. And that's really good to have a wee bit of rubber in your fire kit. More things I have, a couple of cotton wool balls. And my favourite thing in a fire kit of all the things I carry is just lint. And the reason why I have lint is because we use the dryer fairly often. I think I've told you this before, I live in a place in Ireland called the Sperrins, and in the Sperrins is a weather station up near Lough Fay, which is about 3 or 4 miles around the corner from me, and it recorded a few years back that this was the wettest place in Ireland, had the most rainfall for a couple of years in a row. Now I don't know what it is now, but it was back then, so I live in quite a wet place, so that's why I have to use a dryer. And being in a wet environment all the time, it's always good to have a reasonable fire kit. Now what I carry there will get me a fire lit, no matter what time of the year and how wet it is. It usually gets me a fire lit. But as I say, it's everybody's own personal preference what they put in the fire kit. I have a big bag there full of fire lighting materials and different options there that I want to put on. Things like Vaseline, you know, I have natural fire lighting starter block things here that I would throw in here and there from being really lazy, and because time's precious, going that in a wee minute. You can use hexy stove blocks, just things like that. Just you can add and chop and choose, sawdust, Midos, whatever you want you can add to your fire kit. Again, I chop and choose with my fire kit depending on the activity I'm doing and how long I'm going will determine what I put into my fire kit. But what I showed you there is generally what I would normally just carry in it, unless I'm doing something that I want a wee bit more, something substantial to make sure I do get a fire going, or maybe have to light the fire 3 or 4 times, or have to light 3 or 4 fires for a scout activity. I don't know. It just depends, and I just chop and choose. It's everybody's own preference. Now, other people would carry, I suppose, a far more substantial fire lighting kit than I would. I see people will even go to the extreme, especially in Ireland. You know, they'll maybe take a magnifying glass, or you know, a big thick bit of glass or something like that. There, that if you get a nice sunny day, you can use it and light it. Again, that's really fun to know and really fun to use, and it's a good one. I find a great crack to show the scouts how to use this way. But if it's a nice sunny day, a wee bit of cotton wool, and if a striker's going to do the same as this, so I don't really need to carry it. It's just to me, it's just extra weight, but still good to know. The same about the primitive techniques when you go into the forest. My favourite primitive technique would be the bow drill, and the reason for it is it's very similar to the hand drill. There's just a few more extra components needed for the bow drill. Obviously your hand drill a wee bit longer, so you work up and down it. Your hand, obviously you'll need a socket and things for the top of the bow, for the top of the drill if you're using a bow drill, and obviously you have to make the bow. And they're the few extra things you'd have. And I think for that extra 5 or 10 minutes to go find them things, I think it's a lot easier using the saw motion of the bow rather than, you know, the hand spinny motion that you do for a hand drill. So I always would do the bow drill. I'm just going to show you, this is one I made a good many moons back, and this is one I would use for demos to the scouts, and it's just a curved bit of timber, and this worked for me. Let's see the rest of it. So that was the bow with a bit of paracord on it. Again, you can use shoelaces, whatever. That's obviously 2 drills, need to be pointed yet, but that's just a couple of drills ready to go. It's just ready for demos. There's my socket, or my handpiece that I would use on the top of the back of the drill, and that's obviously my fireboard. This one's obviously been used, and I just keep that one there just for demo so the scouts can see. It's one that I know works, and the scouts can see it. They can make their wee ember to put onto a bird's nest to get the fire lit. Again, I'll say about time's precious. I carry that little fire kit that I have because, as I said, time's precious to me. And the same as everybody else, you know, you've only got limited time outdoors, you know, at the weekends and evenings and stuff. Life's busy, you know. I'm still selling my gear online. I'm back in construction, making a few extra bob here and there as well. So I'm back at a job there too. I was a new kid and I'm still working at the house. So to me, time's precious. And to go out and start doing primitive stuff from scratch in the forest now is it could be a full day's activity. I could go into the forest and I could get a bow drill made in an hour and it works fine, or I could go in there, it could take me all day because I'm just not getting it right, or I'm not getting the right materials or whatever. It could be a struggle. So that's why you have the fire kit. That's why I like my fire kit and the way I use it more so than the primitive techniques. And mostly now I only use the primitive techniques now to teach scouts as a scout session, so we'll actually have go out with the scouts, and we'll have a couple of days a year where we'll go into the forest, and one of the days might be just purely firelighting. So we'll split maybe 15-20 scouts, we'll split them into 3 or 4 groups, and they'll try 3 or 4 different techniques. Again, this year is a bit funny because of COVID, so we haven't got out as much. But usually you will see that happening when I get them out doing firelighting. We'll see more of the primitive stuff rather than just the firelighting kit. But at the minute, when I'm out doing my own things, I just generally use the firelighting kit. If I'm out with scouts, so I'm using the fire. If we're doing a fire day, we'll start doing the more primitive stuff because it's a good program builder. So that's it, guys. That's what's in my fire kit. As I says, I keep it very simple. It works for me in all the conditions. Again, you can add and take away from what I have in my fire kit to do whatever you're doing, and there's no right or wrong way what way you do your fire kit. Everybody's fire kit is different, and everybody has their own favourite methods of lighting the fire. And this is what works for me, and I'm just showing you what works for me, and hope you enjoyed it, and hope you gave you some ideas, and that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.